Hare Krishna Sanbonani Tumelang Ninjani Siapila Tina. We're happy to be with you this evening. Welcome to Wusa's Wisdom Readings. We're reading a book called Civilization and Transcendence. My name is Savyasāci Das, also known as Savya the Monk. We're happy to welcome you this evening. We will be hearing some questions that have been posed for a journal in Bombay called the Bhagavan. This journal is called Bhagavan. And Pusta Krishna, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, is asking the questions. And Prabhupada is giving the answers, and we are getting the enlightenment. So thank you for coming in. Let us see what today's reading has in store for us. Before I begin, let us chant the Mangala Charan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from this wonderful book called Civilization and Transcendence. We're reading chapter 6, and chapter 6 is called The Ultimate Knowledge. We just came back from a very wonderful Harinam in Maboneng Precinct in Johannesburg. A lot of people there to take photos of themselves and their friends and to flood the social media pages. And we were there to join them in their pictures, join them in taking videos and introducing them to the holy name of Krishna, and also distributing books. So we'll begin. Pusta Krishna is reading. His question is, in the Kali Yuga, the current age of quarrel and hypocrisy, bhakti, devotional service to the Lord, has been described as the most suitable and easiest of paths for God realization. Yet how is it that Vedantic teachings, with their accent on jnana, cultivation of knowledge, are being given the pride of place by noted savants? Srila Prabhupada. The so-called Vedantists, the Mayavadis, impersonalists, are bluffers. They do not know what Vedanta is, but people want to be bluffed, and the bluffers take advantage of it. The two words combined in the word Vedanta are Veda and Anta. Veda means knowledge, and Anta means goal or end. So Vedanta means the end of all knowledge, or Veda. Now in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Vedaischa savai ahameva vedya. By all the Vedas I am to be known. So the whole Vedanta Sutra is a description of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first statement in the Vedanta Sutra is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, having attained a human birth, one should inquire into Brahman, the absolute truth. In a nutshell, Brahman is then described Janmadasya Yataha. Brahman is the origin of everything. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham Savasya Prabhava. I am the origin of everything. So again, the Vedanta Sutra actually describes Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, because Srila Vyasadeva knew that in this Kali Yuga, people would not be able to study Vedanta Sutra nicely on account of a lack of education, he personally wrote a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. That commentary is Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhasyam Brahma Sutranam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the real commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, written by the author of the Vedanta Sutra himself. The Vedanta Sutra was written by Vyasadeva, and under the instruction of Narada, his spiritual master, Vyasadeva wrote a commentary on it. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the same aphorism as the Vedanta Sutra, Janma Dasya Yataha, and continues Anvayat Itaratas Chate Sabhikya Swarat. So actually, the Vedanta Sutra is explained by the author in Srimad Bhagavatam. But the rascal Mayavadis, without understanding Vedanta Sutra and without reading the natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, are posing themselves as Vedantists. That means they are misguiding the people. And because people are not educated, they are accepting these rascals as Vedantists. Really, the Mayavadi Vedantists, they are bluffers. They are not Vedantists. They do not know anything of the Vedanta Sutra. That is the difficulty. Actually, what is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that is real Vedanta. So if we take Srimad Bhagavatam as the real explanation of Vedanta Sutra, then we will understand Vedanta, the end of knowledge. And if we take shelter of the Mayavadi Vedantists, the bluffers, then we cannot understand Vedanta. People do not know anything, and as a result, they can be bluffed and cheated by anyone. Therefore, now they should learn from this Krishna consciousness movement what Vedanta is and what the explanation of Vedanta Sutra is. Then they will be benefited. If we accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the real commentary on Vedanta Sutra, then we'll find that in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Kale dosha nidhe rajan astihi eko mahan guna. In this Kali Yuga, which is an ocean of faults, there is one benediction, one opportunity. What is that? Kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha paramvraje. One can become liberated simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Chant Hare Krishna with me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The chanting of the holy name, it's the one benediction in this ocean of faults. Kale dosha nidhe rajan astihi eko mahanguna, the great qualification of the age is that kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha paramvraje. By chanting this holy name of Krishna, one becomes mukta, liberated from this ocean of faults. This is the benediction. And this is the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada is highlighting Vedanta Sutra is very complex. It requires deep gyan, deep education and realization to understand the aphorisms and their meanings. But fortunately for us, the author of Vedanta Sutra, the codes that are given in this Vedanta, which is Veda means unto end. So it is a summary of all knowledge. These codes, these sutras have been given a purport by their author, who is Vedavyas, in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, that verse is quoted, this Kalido Shanide Rajan, Astihe Ekoman Guna, Kirtanat Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Parambraje, highlighting that the purport of all knowledge is what Krishna has mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Vedaischa savai ahameva vedya. Krishna says, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. And how to know Krishna? Chant Krishna's name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Otherwise, any other type of education from so-called Vedantists who don't know that Krishna is the end of all Veda It is simply cheating. And the masses of people have become cheated by these bluffers, Prabhupada calls them. They are bluffing. They do not know and they misguide people. So Prabhupada says, what can be done? Vyasadeva has already given the perfect explanation of Vedanta Sutra, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So let people read the Srimad Bhagavatam, then they will understand what Vedanta is. Pusta Krishna. Then at the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutra and the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam, one and the same, which is bhakti. Very wonderful question. Vedanta Sutra and Srimad Bhagavatam, do they have the same conclusion? Srila Prabhupada, yes. Find this verse, Kamasya Nendriya Priti. So Pushta Krishna finds it. Kamasya Nendriya Priti Labo Jivetaya Vata Jivasya Tatta Jigyasa Nato Yascheha Kamabir. These desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's works. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 2nd chapter, text number 10. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam proceeds directly from the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, which means now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth. So this is what human life is. This is where human life begins, when one begins to inquire about the absolute truth. When there is no inquiry about the absolute truth, God, the spiritual world, the soul, perfecting one's life, returning back home, then it is to be understood that one is still in the animal platform. In animal communities, there is no interest in the absolute truth. And when we see that human beings have no interest in God, in the absolute truth, then we can put the two together. Animal, no interest in God, in the absolute truth. A human being who has no interest in God, in the absolute truth, they are the same. One has 2 legs and the other may have 4 legs or even more. Here, the very same thing is explained. Don't be entrapped with these temporary bodily necessities of life, sense gratification. You must inquire about the absolute truth. So this is a directive for a human being. You must. Without doing this, you have simply spoiled the opportunity. The next verse of Srimad Bhagavatam explains, Vedanti tattva vidhas yat jnanam advayam. Those who know the absolute truth describe him in this way. Tattva means truth. The truth is explained by the tattva vid, one who knows the truth. How? Parameti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti shaktyate. The absolute truth is explained as Brahman, the all-pervading spiritual effulgence, as Paramatma, the localized Supersoul, or as Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. Understanding these is what Vedanta Sutra means when it says Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now one should learn about the absolute truth, what Brahman is, what Paramatma is, what Bhagavan is. In this way, one should make advancement in his spiritual consciousness. We're getting some clarity. What is to be understood by inquiring about the absolute truth? So the absolute truth is described there to be a non-dual substance, which is understood as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So there is an energy which is spread everywhere. The spiritual energy that is the Lord himself pervading all things. Ch.6. Adandarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam. He is present in every creation in his full might. And then, higher than that, he is present within the heart of everyone as the witness, the friend, and the enjoyer. Anumanta, Upadrasta, Bhata, Bhokta, Maheshwaram. This is the Lord within the heart. He's our friend, he's the witness. He sanctions things, he gives knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Savasya Chaham. Riddhi. Riddhi means the heart. I'm in the heart of all living beings. And there I give Mata, Smriti, Jnanam, and Apoanam. I give Jnana, knowledge, forgetfulness, Apoanam, and Smriti, remembrance. And then higher than that is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the personality of Godhead. Krishna, who wears a peacock feather in his head, who wears a yellow silken dhoti, who has lotus-like eyes, who plays a flute, who is surrounded by koti, millions upon millions of Lakshmi, Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sevya Manam. His goddesses of fortune that surround him, he has his friends. He is Yamuna Tira Banachari, he's walking in the banks of the river Yamuna. So the spiritual world, the home of the Lord, is described in the Vedas. And absolute truth is described according to Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So this is what the Vedas are meant to provide. The Mayavadi Vedantis follow the impersonal commentary of Shankaracharya, Shariraka Bhasya. But there are other commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. Besides the Srimad Bhagavatam, the natural commentary by the author of Vedanta Sutra himself, there are Vedanta Bhashyas written by Vaishnava Acharyas, such as Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, and Baladev Vidyabhusana. Unfortunately, the Mayavadi Vedantists do not care to read these Vaishnava Vedanta Bhashyas. They simply read Shariraka Bhasya and call themselves Vedantists. So I'll get into the technicalities of these different names. I see our friend Julie. Good evening, Julie. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And for your benefit, I'll try to explain these Sanskrit words. So Mayavadi, Maya means illusion, Vadi means path, those who are on the path of illusion, or those who think everything is a product of illusion. They're called Mayavadis, impersonalists. And their guru is Shankaracharya. And that Shankaracharya wrote a commentary on this Vedanta Sutra, these codes of summarizing the whole Vedas, and he's called Shariraka Bhasya. So the impersonalists, they like to read that commentary. But that is not the only commentary. The natural commentary is Srimad Bhagavatam, and it was written by the author of Vedanta Sutra. So it is the one that the Vaishnavas means those who are followers of Vishnu or Krishna. And they have their acharyas, means great teachers who teach by their example, who are powerful to give the knowledge of the Vedas according to time, place, and circumstance. And so their names are Ramanuja Acharya, very powerful, Madhva Acharya, Vishnu Swami, Baladev Vidyabhusana. So those are great saints that have commented on the Vedas. It is not only Shariraka Bhasya. And those who only read the impersonal commentary by Shankaracharya, they are Mayavadis and they are misled. They don't understand the complete absolute truth, that the absolute truth is impersonal, it is localized, and it is directly the personality of God. They think that the absolute truth is only the Brahman, the impersonal energy. And they think that impersonal energy sometimes becomes embodies and comes into this world. Therefore, they are offenders to the divine transcendental form of God because they think it is a product of illusion. But how could illusion be more powerful than God? It is impossible, because all energies are coming from God. It is said in the Vedas that Natasya Karyam Karanam Cha Vidyate, Natat Samas Chabyadikas Chadrishyate. That the Lord, he has nothing to do. There's no one equal to him, above him. And then he is Parasya Shakti Vividaiva Shriyate. He has innumerable energies that from him. And Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriya Cha. They are working as though automatically. They have knowledge, they have potency, and they act. Just like summer, winter, spring, autumn, you plant this seed, it comes out, it's got color, it's got fruits. It's as if it's all automatic, but it's all the energy of the Lord. And Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sachara Charam, that the Lord is directly and indirectly in charge of all moving and unmoving things. So the impersonalists think it's all just the energy, and we are that energy, and we are as good as God, which is not true. Next question. Why do the Mayavadi Vedantis read only one commentary? What is the reason for that? Srila Prabhupada, the reason is that they want to read something that will confirm their illusion that they are God. The reason is that they want to read something that will confirm their illusion that they are God. It's called confirmation bias. We tend to want to hear those things that agree with us, that confirm what we want to understand. That is why sometimes in many religions, especially our cousin and relative Christianity, where we've been raised, they stress a lot, don't read any other books, only read this book, the Bible. And we wonder that in all other parts of our lives, we're encouraged to read geography, history, politics, science, economics, all sorts of materials. We can watch any TV channel we want, any magazine we want. But when it comes to spiritual knowledge, only one book. Don't read others, don't read. So we call this mental slavery. And my friend Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, for none of them can stop at a time. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Do not be held ransom to only read one book. God is unlimited. There must be unlimited knowledge about the unlimited person. Therefore, when we discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, we are discussing 12 cantos, 18,000 verses. And this is just the Bhagavatam of these earthly realms. It is said as you go high up in the universe, it is 1,000 more times verses. So emancipate yourself from mental slavery. The Mayavadis, they want to hear that they are God. The Mayavadi Vedantis cheat. Suppose I present some proposition. If it is a misconception, generally there are others also who can say something to clarify this misconception. For instance, in a court of law, there are two lawyers. One lawyer is speaking on one point of the law. The other lawyer is speaking on another point of the law. But if the judge listens to one side only, then how will he make a proper judgment? Similarly, the Vedantists are simply reading the Shariraka Bhasya, not reading other Bhasyas. Bhasyas means commentary, such as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is natural commentary. And they're cheating people, that's all. Now the Vedanta Sutra says, Janma Dasyayataha. The absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. But this needs some explanation. So that would be the sutra or the nugget of wisdom. It's compressed into just this one line, Janma Dasyayataha, which means the absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. So to fluff it out, so to speak, to flesh it out, to understand its deep meaning, it requires qualified teachers. So one may ask, Is that absolute truth personal or impersonal? Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna clearly says, Aham Savasya Prabhava Matavam Bhatate. I am the origin of everything. Everything comes from me. No ambiguity, clear. Krishna is saying that he is the origin of everything. Everything comes from him. Right? Airtight. I am the origin of everything, and everything comes from me. So why don't you Mayavadi Vedantis take it? Why do you simply remain stuck at the point that the absolute truth is that from which everything emanates? When Krishna, the absolute truth, comes before you and says, I am the origin of everything. Everything comes from me. Why don't you accept Krishna as the absolute truth? Why do you take the impersonalist view only? That the absolute truth has no form. Here is the absolute truth speaking, a person. Why don't you take it? So they like the one-sided argument. And we mentioned that the absolute truth includes the impersonal feature, the localized feature, and the personality himself. But the Mayavadis, they want to stick to the one side, the impersonalist. When the person, Bhagavan, Krishna says, everything emanates from me, I am the source of everything. Of course, if people want to be cheated, then who can stop them? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, Vedanta Krit Eva Chaham. I am the compiler of Vedanta. Why do these rascals not consider who compiled Vedanta? Vyasadeva is the incarnation of Krishna. He compiled Vedanta. Why do these rascals not consider the original Vedantist, Krishna? They approach a Mayavadi instead. So how will they understand Vedanta? Suppose I've written a book. If you cannot understand something in it, then you should come directly to me for an explanation. That is sensible. Why go to a rascal who has nothing to do with my book? Similarly, some rascal Mayavadi may claim, I am a Vedantist. But why should I go to a rascal instead of the real compiler of the Vedanta Sutra? Those who approach the Mayavadi Vedantists for knowledge are also rascals. They are willingly being cheated. Let the Mayavadi Vedantists and their followers accept the conclusions of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Then they will understand Vedanta Sutra. They'll be real Vedantists. Otherwise, they will remain cheaters. So if you go to a cheater, you'll be cheated, and that is your business. It is on us, Prabhupada is putting it, that Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are there. Krishna himself, the absolute truth, is speaking there. But if we don't hear from Krishna and we go to a rascal who is only thinking of the impersonal conception, then we become cheated. And we can only have ourselves to blame. Pusta Krishna says, Srila Prabhupada, are you saying that the Mayavadis have no knowledge at all? Very tricky question. Because they say so many things. What do you say they have no knowledge? Srila Prabhupada, once again, Vedanta means the ultimate knowledge. And what is that knowledge? Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita 7:19, Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyante. After many births, one who is actually in knowledge at last surrenders unto me. So unless one surrenders to Krishna, no Gyan, no knowledge. Therefore, the Mayavadi Vedantis are all nonsense. They have no knowledge at all. The subject matter of ultimate knowledge, Vedanta, is Krishna, God. So if one does not know who God is, who Krishna is, and if one does not surrender to him, then where is the question of knowledge? But if a rascal claims, I am a man of knowledge, what can be done? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna goes on to explain, Vasudeva Savamiti Samahatma Sudulabha. When one understands that Vasudeva, Krishna, is everything, then that is knowledge. But such a Mahatma is very rare. Before coming to this understanding, one has no knowledge. His so-called understanding is simply misunderstanding. So Bob also said, fools lean on their own misunderstanding. If you're leaning on misunderstanding, then you're leaning on a unstable pillar. You will only fall down because misunderstanding is illusion. But real knowledge means knowing God, knowing Krishna. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Shabdyate. One may begin with understanding impersonal Brahman by the speculative method. Then in the secondary stage, one can understand the Paramatma, the Lord's localized aspect. And the final stage is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Vedaischa savai ahameva vedyam. By all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. By all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. By all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. Therefore, Veda meaning knowledge, and by all knowledge, Krishna is to be known. So we can judge ourselves. Any department of knowledge, we should try to see how it reveals Krishna, the source of all knowledge. So, by all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known. That is the ultimate knowledge. But if you do not understand Krishna, then where is your knowledge? Halfway knowledge is not knowledge. It must be complete knowledge. That complete knowledge is possible, as it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante. After many births, those who are striving to acquire knowledge, after many, many births, when actually by the grace of God and by the grace of a devotee, they come to knowledge, then such persons agree, oh, Vasudeva Savamiti, Krishna is everything. Samahatma Sudulabha, that Mahatma, that great soul is very rarely to be found. Dulabha means very rarely found. But the word used is Sudulabha, very, very rare to be found. So you cannot easily find such a Mahatma who clearly understands Krishna. We should count ourselves very blessed and feel ourselves extremely grateful to the devotees who have shared this knowledge with us, especially His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who has revealed to the world that Krishna is the goal of all knowledge, who has given us this Bhagavad Gita to understand the absolute truth, who has given us the Srimad Bhagavatam to understand the absolute truth. So it is a very rare good fortune. And having received this human form, Bhaunam Janmanamante, after many, many births, we should take full advantage and make benefit from this knowledge. So this chapter is discussing the ultimate knowledge, and the ultimate knowledge is the knowledge of God, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of every aspect of knowledge. We want to invite you tomorrow at 10 a.m. We're having a very wonderful class given by His Grace Ishwara Prabhu, and it is discussing the beauty of the Vedic literatures. So we will get an opportunity to hear about this Vedic literature from this wonderful devotee. Thank you, Narottam Prabhu, for the shout out. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Srimad Bhagavatam is giving light in the dark age of Kali. And Srila Prabhupada has brought that to us. Bongisipo Hare Krishna. Does Lord Krishna have a Paramatma or Supersoul that is seated within his heart? No. Within Krishna's heart is Srimati Radharani, meaning he holds her very dear. Therefore, he's always thinking of her. But Krishna has also said that the thoughts of my pure devotees, they dwell in me. So Krishna is also holding in his heart those pure devotees. He says that those who say they are my devotees, they are not my devotees, but those who are devotees of my devotees, they are my real devotees. So the Lord is always thinking about his pure servants within the core of his heart. And the topmost of those devotees is Srimati Radharani. And the Lord himself is Paramatma. Therefore, he does not have any other Paramatma within himself, any other Supersoul, because he is the Supersoul. Thank you for that question, Bongosi, Bongisipo. And Goranga Mark Prabhu, thank you for tuning in on Facebook. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesha Srinivadi Paschatade Satarine. Offering our humble obeisances to that most wonderful servant of Srila Saraswati Devi, who is delivering the Western worlds from impersonalism and voidism. Nivishesh and Shunyavad. Those are the glories of Srila Prabhupada. He is making it clear that do not be doomed by the impersonal understanding. Come to the personal understanding of the Supreme Lord and hear it directly from himself. So tune in tomorrow at 7. We'll be having Bongisipo reading for us chapter 7. And catch this wisdom readings daily from 7 p.m. onwards. We apologize we could not broadcast yesterday. We had a blackout. I think the longest load shedding started at 5 p.m. and ended at midnight. So ngiyabonga kakhulu to all of you who spent your time. Please like and share our content at Wusa108 on YouTube and on Facebook, and invite others to hear these readings, help them to improve their lives and become more happy. Thank you very, very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
You are not this body you're living in. You're an eternal spirit soul, so where shall I begin? Every single living entity, including you, is immortal. Wait, hear me out, it's true, our bodies are changing every moment. We're more than just evolving, I mean every cell is changing. We're always reincarnating until every 7 years each cell is replaced. The old body has changed, so the question remains, who are you then? Like, where's the you? How can we feel it, touch it? And what can we do? You could ignore the concept and walk away like phew. Or are you really searching for the truth? Does your life have meaning, or are you trying to escape? It's hard to face yourself, I know it is, I feel your pain. To find out who we really are is too close to the bone. Wait, no, it's close to the soul. We're getting somewhere now. Whoa, who is this guy? Man, I knew he was crazy. When I clicked on the link and it came up on my page, I should have gone another way, think he's involved in a cult. And now he's trying to get me and he's going on about the soul. Actually, I am crazy in the eyes of most, but most people aren't open, they just don't want to know. The question I propose to you from me is, do we have the eyes to see? Where was I? Oh yeah, the soul. The soul is unborn and it never grows old. You can tell by the symptom of the way that we cry, just trying to deal with a limited life. Why is death so painful? Because we're not supposed to die. The spirit soul's eternal and we know it inside. It's like, why should I change my body again? That's the real meaning of human sense. If I'm eternal, none of this is my property, then why shouldn't I take my eternal body, my eternal existence? Why should I die? This is the beginning of a human life. This form of life is a special chance for us to get free from the laws of karma, material energy, a chance to be liberated from the hurt and stress of this continuous cycle of birth and death, a chance to realize your eternal blissful state and attain your original spiritual body one day. We have free will to make our own decisions and have to face the reactions to the way that we've been living in this material world. Sense enjoyment is temporary. We do it over and over and it never makes us happy. Not knowing our true nature, we're trying to enjoy through all this temporary stuff. It's never enough. We cage ourselves into this prison, numb our consciousness. Instead of meditating on our existence, we allow the media to condition us, so we shop and identify ourselves with these bodies that we're not. This ignorance causes dissatisfaction in the soul. We can't understand why we're not happy, and then we grow old. And if we're not careful, go cold. It's hard to turn back once your soul's been sold. If you don't know why you're here, just be honest, you don't. Maybe you can find out if you consider the soul.